What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading, back at it again with another crypto market update. Today we've got XRP, Stellar, and Hedera. I'm sure you're all wondering why these cryptos are pumping. How high are they going to go? When are they actually going to have a sizable pump? If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Before we get started, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just my personal analysis of these cryptos. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion that we have, the better traders and the better investors we're all going to become. With that being said, guys, let's jump straight into it here. As I'm sure most of you have heard, the reason why XRP is pumping is because Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse basically said that the SEC is going to drop its appeal in the lawsuit against Ripple. Of course, for those of you who don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, but just in case, of course, the SEC famously or infamously sued Ripple and its executives in late 2020. That case was ongoing for a long time. That case was basically resolved last year, but then the SEC appealed the decision, or appealed the ruling in that case. And what's interesting is that appeal was, it hadn't been dropped. Like basically the SEC was dropping all these other all these other cases and appeals for like all these other crypto companies and projects, but it wasn't doing it with XRP or with Ripple rather, which is kind of strange. But Brad has now confirmed that yes, this appeal will be dropped, which basically set the stage. Like, the reason why it's so significant is it basically sets the stage for the spot XRP ETFs to be approved. That was really the main hurdle to them being approved, was this appeal. And now that this appeal is gone, this increases the chances that XRP will get a spot ETF. And of course, it's one of the top contenders in that regard. So this brings me to the chart. You guys might notice that I'm doing things a little bit differently today as well. Again, instead of looking at these key levels that I've been tracking for a few weeks, instead we're going to zoom out and take a look at some indicators here. And the one that I have slapped on here, some of you might recognize, is the RSI, Relative Strength Index. This is one that Aaron is very familiar with. To be honest, the RSI is not something that I use very much personally, and I use it in a slightly different way. But of course, first things first, I should probably show you guys how to add the RSI. If you're on Binance here and you just go to this little technical indicator button here at the top, and then you just go to sub indicator, you'll see the RSI is right here. I just use the default setting. I don't tweak anything there. You literally just go over to, the default is main indicator. You click on the sub indicator here, add RSI, just click save, and you'll see it's added there. And of course, guys, as some of you will know, what the RSI basically shows you is the strength of a crypto. And of course, when the RSI is really high, that means the crypto is like super overbought, and it's probably time to sell. And when the RSI is super low, then that means that the crypto is probably oversold and it's probably time to buy. Of course, it doesn't work super perfectly. In my opinion, the more that you zoom out, the better that the RSI works, which is exactly why I'm on the monthly chart here. And the reason why I bring this up, guys, is because the way that I analyze the RSI, again, is a little bit different to Aaron. What I look for in the RSI is kind of like, I kind of treat it as like another chart, like another price chart, if that makes any sense. I don't really care too much about like the level, whether it's oversold or overbought, because I personally don't find that very helpful. But what I do find helpful is the pattern. So in this case, what I find very fascinating is, of course, in the previous cycle, at the end of 2020, the RSI for XRP on the monthly really shot up. And then, of course, it collapsed after the SEC lawsuit there. But then it had like the second peak, in early 2021. So in late 2020, there was one peak, and then in early 2021, there was a second peak. And we're seeing something similar, to be honest, this time around. Some people might say, oh, the first peak already happened in late last year, and the second one also happened late last year. But I'm not so convinced, guys. I think what we're seeing here potentially is a setup that's similar to what we saw back here in the previous cycle for XRP, where it had this first peak. Now, of course, prices have been down for a couple of months. This has kind of reset the RSI. It's brought it back down into like a mid-range, right? It's not overbought, but it's also not oversold. And what I think is going to happen here is we will get a second leg higher in the coming months, where XRP could, in terms of price, the price could actually go higher. And I do think it's going to go like to new all-time highs. But what you're going to see, I think, is you're going to see the RSI not going as high. Maybe the RSI will go, I don't know, to like maybe 85 or 90 instead of like 95 or whatever it was before, right? And I think when you see that happen, that's going to create what they call a bearish divergence, which is that the strength of the move is weaker, but the price is going up. And this kind of tells us that that's going to be confirmation potentially of a top, and that we're going to see XRP rolling over after that. Again, this is something that's going to come over the next few months. I personally believe is going to happen over the summer, but I do hope you find that helpful, because yeah, like looking at these indicators, again, looking at crypto prices through different lenses can be really informative. And there's no guarantee that this is going to happen. But again, the way that I use the RSI that I find very fascinating is not so much to look at the levels, but to look at the pattern. And in this case, I can see another kind of a, let's say, double top pattern here outperforming with the RSI, which foreshadows bigger gains for XRP in the coming months. And of course, guys, you might have noticed we were using Binance there. The Coin Bureau has a 20% trading fee discount and up to $600 in bonuses. That's actually the biggest deal you can get on Binance, offered exclusively through the Coin Bureau. When you sign up, the exchange gets a new user, you get a trading fee discount, and we get a cut of your trading fees. That's how we make our money. We have no, we're not paid by any crypto projects or anything like that. We're not paid by Solana or Ethereum. We're not paid by Ripple. We don't care what crypto project you like. So long as you're interested in buying or selling or trading, we're here to give you the tools to do that. And again, you can find the Binance deal down in the description. It's also in the comments section. It takes 2 seconds. You literally just click that sign up now button, and there's even a direct link. It'll take you straight to that page. Just enter your info. 2 minutes to sign up. It's super easy, and it helps us out. It helps you out, and it helps the exchange out. Anyways, guys, moving on now to Stellar. So one thing that I find very interesting with Stellar, and something I've been underscoring, is I personally think Stellar is going to benefit the most when we start to see stablecoin regulations come in. And of course, in case you guys missed it, last week the Senate Banking Committee actually passed. It's just like the committee. It's not like the main Senate vote, but basically it's passed the first hurdle, let's say, to actually becoming a law. The stablecoin regulation. So it passed the committee. Next step is it needs to be voted on by the Senate. I'm honestly not sure when that's going to happen, but I imagine it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Then it'll go to the House, and then the House will probably debate. Maybe they'll want some amendments. It might go back and forth. That's going to be the interesting part to me, because I believe the House has also tabled a different stablecoin bill. But the point being is that in the next potentially in the next few weeks, but more likely in the next, let's say, month or two, we should see the stablecoin bills coming out. Or at least one of these stablecoin bills should become law. And that should really help out these cryptos that have really been positioning themselves for stablecoin payments and stuff like that, which arguably includes XLM, Stellar's cryptocurrency. So guys, same like with XRP, we're zoomed out here to the monthly on XLM, and similarly to XRP. And again, it's definitely up for debate, but what I see here, and it's a little bit less clear, in XRP it's a lot clearer, but what I kind of see here is something similar, that we have the RSI spiking in late 2020, like the same way that the RSI spiked in late 2020. It looks like we saw an RSI spike like that for XLM late last year, which again could foreshadow a second leg higher, same like we saw in early 2021, that we would see that sometime over the summer here for XLM. Again, it's a little bit less clear in this case, but again, the way that I use the RSI is I just look at these patterns, and it looks like we're definitely somewhere in this equivalent of this pattern, right? The RSI was flat. It broke out, and now we should get at least one, possibly two waves higher, right, in that RSI. And similarly to XRP, we could see a case where for XLM, the RSI comes in a little bit lower, like before it went up to like 93 or whatever, but now it could go down, let's say, I don't know, to 80 or something. And again, that would create this bearish divergence. But of course, just because the RSI doesn't go as high doesn't mean that the price is not going to hit a new all-time high. On the contrary, prices will tend to see, like really big gains, but the momentum is not as strong, let's say, and that kind of gives you the divergence that signals that all-time high that you're potentially going to see XLM starting to roll over. And again, I do think that all-time high will come over the summer, and I personally think that we're going to start to see crypto prices crashing by sometime in the fall. Whether or not there's another leg higher sometime later in the year or early 2026, we'll really have to play that one by ear. So yeah, guys, moving on now to Hedera. Of course, what I've been hammering the table about now for a while is the fact that Hedera also has an HBAR ETF that's in progress. Bloomberg ETF analyst said that HBAR had the highest chance of getting an ETF. I do think that XRP and HBAR are probably neck and neck now with the the SEC's appeal against Ripple being dropped. It looks like they're more neck and neck there. But the point being is that Hedera is another one of these altcoins that could get an ETF, in the near future. So this is something that I'm watching very closely. And of course, it does fall under that ISO 20022, tokenized real world assets, all that type of stuff. So it's definitely one that's going to benefit, let's say, from institutional interest in crypto. And of course, this brings me again, same like with XLM and XRP, brings me to the monthly chart for HBAR here, and we have the RSI slapped on. And again, similar story. I truly believe that what we've seen here with HBAR, it's even clearer than what you see in XRP and XLM's chart. You could make the case that the rally that we saw in late 2024 in the RSI is again same like the rally in early 2021 in the RSI. And then of course there was a second leg higher for HBAR at the end of 2021 where you could see that the RSI was lower, and it created again this bearish divergence. So even though HBAR hit a new all-time high, the divergence basically signaled that the move was overextended, and then we did see a crash. And I truly believe that we're going to see the same thing happen here in the next few months. Like, and it's actually more accurate than you think, because the crash that we're seeing right now, in my opinion, is very similar, yes, of course, to the crash that we saw over the summer of 2024, but it's also very similar to the crash that we saw in the spring of 2021 when China was like banning crypto and all this stuff, right? So I personally believe that we're going to see a second leg higher here for HBAR. I think it's going to be a pretty sizable leg higher, but of course, even though the price could be a new all-time high there, it's probably not going to be a new all-time high in the RSI. It'll probably be another bearish divergence. And honestly, if it's not, then that could potentially be a promising sign that there could be a third leg higher. But my base case for XRP, XLM, and HBAR is that they're all going to rally in the coming months. That'll bring the RSI up higher, but the RSI won't be as high as it was before. It'll be another bearish divergence, signaling a rollover in prices that begins the bear market, probably sometime, let's say, as early as later this year. But of course, we'll have to play things by ear. We're on the monthly chart here, guys. This is not something that you really day trade, but it's definitely something that helps put things into perspective and gives you, makes you feel a little bit better about the short-term price action, let's say. Anyways, guys, if you did make it this far and you did find that information helpful, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.